Welcome to another episode of Pathetic, the podcast. We're happy to come to you tonight. Week 1 of the NFL is in the books. Remember, if you're watching us, please like and subscribe. And if you get the opportunity, please share this with friends, even with enemies. We don't care. They could be enemies. That's fine with us. But definitely share it so that more people can listen, can watch, so our algorithms change. But I think we've got a fun show for you tonight. Mikey, how you doing tonight?
Doing great. I am home alone for this entire week, so I don't want to tell you what my kitchen looks like at this point. The fall crisp is in the air. We got probably one more dip in the pool before we close that thing up for the year. But we feel like I'm back to normal with the 1 week of football in. So
Yeah.
Geoff, how are we doing?
Yeah, I'm excited football's back, even though my team did not play well, and we'll definitely get to that in a few minutes. But just football's back. The weather is where I want it to be. So yeah, life is good. So I'm excited for the next few months.
I'm excited because next weekend I'm actually traveling down to Charlotte to visit Geoff.
That's right.
I think that's going to be.
right.
We're going to play a little golf. We're going to watch some football. So that should be pretty entertaining, guys. We do have week 1 in the books. Before we get to the Jets and the Giants, I want to bring up one thing. For all of you prognosticators that said, oh, man, New England's going to be so good. Oh, they're going to be so good. Vrabel's great. And Drake May, guess what? They aren't. And I'm sorry, but I thought before the season started that their roster was lacking. And it is lacking. You let the Raiders come in cross country. Mikey pointed that out about cross country and said how difficult that is. And he's right. But they came cross country and they beat them. And I find no greater joy in the world than watching the Patriots lose at home. And and it's too bad this week, Patriots playing the Dolphins. I want both of them to lose.
No, they play the Steelers this week. Oh no, that is in 2 weeks. I'm sorry.
Yeah, Patriots Dolphins.
My schedule's all. Yeah.
But yeah, you've been home alone all week. This is what happens when Mikey's by himself. His brain gets all crazy. I don't even want to go into what's going on over there. But yeah. So I mean, that's really to me the main thing outside Jets and Giants that I just wanted to bring up for all the New England fans and all the New England people that were like, "Oh, Patriots are back." Back where? Where are they? Exactly. You tell me.
Week 1, though. You got to be careful.
Yeah, I know.
Don't speak too soon.
Yeah, really, Ted. We gotta be careful that we're not playing this back when they're in the AFC Championship game in 3 months.
Mike, what do we say all the time? Don't touch the money.
Yeah, you just rubbed yourself all over the money. Yeah. You didn't just touch it.
I kind of did. But so we had a very very weird week in New York for New York football. Let's start on the good note. Let's start with the Jets. Mike, I know you watched the Jets. What did you take out of that, and what were you thinking when you were watching it?
So I'm going to have a common theme for both teams, and I'll start with the Jets on it. But it was a refreshing watch of a football game because for so long we've looked at an offense and we've looked at a team that looked like it was playing football from 30 years ago. The team that showed up there on week 1 at MetLife Stadium looked like a team from 2025. They were playing offense the way everybody else is playing offense. They're able to do things with their offensive line. They got the ball down the field. It looked like football that all these other teams that are good are able to do. The Jets were able to do that in spades on Sunday. Granted, still had a couple of dumb penalties, still had a couple of turnover, the one big turnover, and we'll get to that in a minute when it comes to Xavier Gipson, which, I understand where Aaron Glenn's coming from with that. But, I was beyond encouraged that the regime has changed, that the culture has changed, just the whole feeling of that game was something that I haven't felt since probably Mark Sanchez was the quarterback.
Yeah.
With Rex Ryan and all of that. So this felt like Yeah, I wanted to win that game so bad. And seeing him, Aaron Rodgers, at the end of that game, pumping his fist on that fourth touchdown and, happy to beat everyone on the Jets organization, I could have done without that, and I would have loved to have won that game. But I'm beyond encouraged with the way that they have played and just the overall look of that game. That was a fun game to watch.
It really
I don't care
was.
a fan of what team you are. That was the most fun game outside of the Sunday night game with Buffalo and Baltimore, which was out of control. Fun in the fourth quarter especially, but that whole game from start to finish was a lot of fun. Obviously, like I said, clean up a couple of things, but I'm very encouraged after week one. I just hope that one loss against the AFC opponent doesn't come back to bite us when it comes to a wild card spot later on.
Yeah, I think encouraged is the key word if you're a Jets fan. Obviously, losing sucks, especially losing in that fashion. You'd almost rather get blown out. We didn't get blown out, the Giants, but I knew they were going to lose after the first half. It was almost like, all right, whatever, it's over. To get to that point of the game and lose at the end is always a painful one. But I texted both you guys, and I said, I think I'm quoting it word for word, that loss is not as bad as it feels. Because it sucks when it happens, but you got to be encouraged. Justin Fields, who, I've been not really knocking, but I'm not really sold on him. I have nothing to say today. He played great. He was phenomenal. He audibled in situations and showed a great football IQ. He made accurate passes. He ran when he should have ran, like he always does. And the coach, you got to give the coach credit. This team came ready to play, which I haven't seen the Jets ready to play. And I'm not being this isn't an overreaction. In about 2 years, I've never seen the Jets really play good football. Even the games they won, they kind of squeaked it out. This was good football and sound fundamental football, which stems from the coach. But if I'm a Jets fan, encouraged is the key word here, because again, who knows what Justin Fields is going to be? We don't know yet, but the X factor is there. He's 26 years old. He's athletic. He wants to be here. We talked about that when you guys got him. He wanted to play for the Jets, and those factors really matter for me. So, again, it sucks you guys lost. It was a tough one. It would have been nice to beat Rodgers, who, by the way, you got to give him credit.
Sure.
He didn't lose a step. He looked like it was 2012 Rodgers. He was phenomenal, just slower, but he could still sling the rock. But, again, with the Jets, encouragement is the way that I would look at them right now.
Justin Fields made a lot of really good plays the whole day, a lot of them. But the one that impressed me the most was on the fourth down at the end of the game, where they talked about, of course, some idiots are criticizing that he should have ran for the first down. But instead, what he did was he threw it to Garrett Wilson, who's your money receiver. And quite honestly, 99 times out of 100, no cornerback is going to make a hit like Jalen Ramsey made on him. And Garrett Wilson's not going to have that ball pop out of his hands. So to me, I think the right decision was made, because right at that point, I don't know if he would have had a shot at going out of bounds, but they could have called timeout. They would have had like an extra 4 or 5 yards, and they would have had like 9 or 11 seconds to just kind of get maybe 10 or 12 yards and have a shot at a field goal. So for everybody that always screams about, well, Justin Fields' biggest problem is he only wants to run, I think he showed you a real level of maturity there that I'm looking forward to seeing go. And I do agree. I think Aaron Glenn did a really good job his first coaching thing. As far as the stupid penalties, the one by Quincy Williams, to me, that's just stupid, at hitting the guy out of bounds. I'm going to give Simpson a pass, because Simpson came to the aid of his quarterback, who got crushed. And again, why do we have to always be saying that a quarterback for the New York Jets is getting crushed and they're not calling roughing the passer? Why do we have to do that? And would it have been better if Simpson didn't lose his cool? But when you see a teammate, same as if you saw a friend at a bar, whether your friend was right or wrong, your friend gets crushed, you're going to go crush the person who hit your friend. The thing with Xavier Gibson, you know what? I thought he was a long shot to even make the team. I thought Pritchard should have made it. I'm glad he's gone.
Cut, right?
Yeah, he got cut.
Yeah.
What has he had, Mike? Is it 11 fumbles? in 3
Yep.
years? Come on, enough with that. Enough.
Yep. This is not Tiki Barber here. So.
Right. Yeah,
his
you're
claim
not
to
Tiki
fame-
Barber. Exactly.
Yeah.
His claim to fame was the kick return, right?
Right.
The
in
Aaron
the
Rodgers
Rodgers
and
game.
Steelers game.
Correct.
And ever since then, he's been a disaster.
But encourage
which,
is,
it is what it is.
Geoff, I walked
Yeah.
away from that loss and I was not upset and I was not ticked off. You know, I said to myself, same thing you said, boy, that would have been great to win. But I'm looking at the big picture. Maybe at my age, I shouldn't be looking at the big picture. I need everything I can get now. But I looked at the big picture and said, you know, I think we might have something here. We might. I don't know.
Well, you know what? You have hope is what you
Yes.
have, right? And listen, it's week 1. We can't overreact to a win or a loss.
Right.
But you can have hope and see, okay, if this is the baseline of what we're working with, if it can stay relatively consistent to this, then we definitely got something here. You guys definitely got something
Agree.
here. And I don't think, and correct me if I'm wrong, I'm not a Jets fan. I don't think it's the excitement about the fact that you kept it a close game with the Steelers and a Rodgers who was obviously motivated. I think it's the way the offense looked.
It's what Mike
right?
said.
Like that's the big one. It's not because the game was close.
Right.
If it was 6-6 the whole game and you lost 9-6 for a that you'd be pissed.
I would have said
That's a typical Jet.
Yeah,
that's a typical Jet thing is losing 9-6 in that game when your defense plays their ass off and the offense just couldn't get on the field and do anything, and you know they were terrible. But you didn't have that in this game. I think the defense played good in spurts. I think they had Rodgers when they got to him. Rodgers did not move as well as he could have. I think they could have done a better job getting after him a little bit more. But a couple of big penalties really kept drives going. Like the one on Johnson there was the one that really kind of set them up for one of their last touchdowns, the dumb off the out of bounds play, which that was the only time I was really mad this entire game was when he made that play, because they were in no man's land. They had no chance of getting a drive going there, and you'd give up a penalty there. If it was me, I was hoping that Aaron Glenn was going to pull him off the field, but you have nobody else who was going to be able to play linebacker there, and I would want him to stay in the game, but you can't make that kind of penalty there. And I think that's really where the momentum kind of shifted, where they started. It was the fumble, and it was that penalty that really kind of got Pittsburgh going, because I thought Jets were in control for a good portion of that game, where I thought there was no way that Pittsburgh was going to come back.
Well,
but
when Pittsburgh scored those 14 straight points, and you kind of had the feeling like, oh, the Jets are done, and then they came back and took the lead. I mean, that was very different. Listen, to me, the unsung hero of this day is Tanner Engstrom. What a great job he did as the offensive coordinator. You know, he really, and
the play calling was good, which we haven't seen from the Jets in a long time.
I'm just excited. I really am. Listen, I don't hold any illusions, but we do always play Buffalo hard, and listen, Buffalo's offense is really good. Their defense gave up 40 points. So I mean, if we could play good offense, we probably can keep this close. We might. Listen, we could be 0-3 and still be in great position, because I heard Connor Hughes say it today. If you're 0-3, but these games were week 7, 12, and 14, you would say, well, you just lost. But it's tough coming out of the gate. But after those first 3 games, the schedule lightens up a little bit, and we'll have a shot. But if we could win one of these next 2, I think that's going to be big, and it's going to go a long way to determining, what this season looks like.
And one thing I will say as well, for all the Jet fans who sold their tickets to Steelers fans for the opening game, do not sell those tickets to Buffalo Bills fans. I don't want to see any blue in that stadium on Sunday. I want it to be a sea of green. If it's blue, it better be red, white, and blue for NYPD for 9/11. Yeah. That should be the only blue that we see in that whole stadium, because it should be all green, especially after that performance. No one should be wanting to sell those tickets now.
Exactly.
They should be there rooting these guys on and getting to getting that place to be as loud as it can be in that particular stadium, which is not super loud, but
Yeah, I agree.
that's the stadium.
And then,
Yeah.
and I mean, at the same time, and I didn't watch too much of the Giant game. We had it on a split screen.
I wish I didn't.
I'm going to weigh in first because I know, Geoff, you probably got a lot to say about it. You didn't get blown out, but at no time did I think anybody ever have the feeling you were going to win that game. But
No.
I'm going to tell you this. I've said it the whole offseason. Russell Wilson stinks. And then you put his level of stink behind what that offensive line kind of looked like. And I don't think Jackson Dart should be the quarterback. But I think that what they should do is they should have Jameis Winston be the backup this week, so that if they have to make a move and go to Jameis, they go to Jameis. And then if you want week 3 or week 4, have Jameis be the starter and Jackson be the backup. I just don't see this Russell Wilson thing working out. I really don't.
Yeah.
I.
So let's talk about that level of stink for a second. Do you notice a common trend with the Giants quarterbacks since really the beginning of Eli's decline? There's a level of stink, and then they go somewhere else, or in Russell's case, he came here from somewhere else where he looked pretty good in those places. Why is it they stink with the Giants? The offensive line. This offensive line is an absolute disaster. And I don't care who you put behind there. You could take Johnny Unitas, a hologram, and put him behind this offensive line. He's going to have the same level of stink. But just as far as the game, and I'll get to Russell Wilson and what I think.
Are you holding a knife?
Start, should he not?
You're making me nervous.
I always, yeah. I'm not angry.
Okay,
I promise.
Okay.
But listen, it's just the same old garbage. It's the same old garbage with the Giants, right? Opening day, no touchdowns. This happened 3 years in a row. Hasn't been done since the Detroit Lions in the 1940s. But what's even more frustrating is Washington didn't really play that well, right? They botched getting 3 points at the end of the first half. They had bad penalties. They had big drops. They were beatable. And the Giants just couldn't get an offensive playoff because of the line. But if you watch this game, it was just a full display of what's been wrong with this franchise, really since Coughlin left, I would say. It's a horrific offensive line, which equates to zero offensive execution. That is exactly what the Giants have been, and it starts with this damn offensive line that they've been rebuilding since 2012, 2013, and it just hasn't gotten better. You can say it's gotten worse. But the reason the Giants are going to suck this year is not the coach. It's not Russell Wilson. It's not the lack of the running game. It's the abysmal offensive line. And Russell Wilson's strengths, guys, think about this. It's the deep ball. You can't expect him to have success if he's under duress every play. And that's exactly what happened. That's what we saw the whole game. Now, as expected, you're going to hear people screaming for Dart, right? We're hearing every Giant fan, oh, start Dart, start Dart. Bad franchises, which the Giants are, always have a fan base that screams for a change. And usually it's an emotional response, which is quite frankly exactly what this is. But for those who want Dart to come in now, or even let's say week 5 or this year, period, do you really want to see him get his clock cleaned behind this offensive line his first year? Like, do you want to ruin this kid and create Zach Wilson type habits? The recipe is simple. If you want to do that, play him behind this line. If this offensive line continues to do what they do or what they did in week 1, I don't want to see Dart all year. And the draft and free agency next year should be 100% to rebuild this offensive line. Because I don't know how much you guys watched it, but I'm telling you, I'm not overreacting. It was unwatchable because of the offensive line. They can't do anything, right? So, yes, Russell Wilson doesn't look like he used to, right? But if he had some time, he can make the plays. He had a couple of decent throws. And then Daniel Jones looks great. Everyone's like, oh, we should have kept Daniel Jones. Oh, really? You want to keep Daniel? Look at how he played here.
Yeah.
And again, I'm going to say offensive line 15 times today, guys, because I'm telling you, I feel it in my heart of hearts. That is the reason why the Giants stink. They have talent. Look at the roster. There's talented players on this team. But you can't expose that or you can't display that talent if the quarterback's getting crushed every play.
Listen,
so
Mike and I have had the last 2 drafts, first round, offensive linemen taken. and it's not sexy.
Yeah.
And you don't walk away from it going, woo-hoo-hoo, but you know what? Inside, you know that they're doing the right thing. Membo and
He's been unbelievable in that game.
And you forget how good Olufashano is. And I will say this. The injury, I don't know if I said this last week, but the injury to AVT is actually a blessing in disguise. Because now you know you're not going to pay him the big bucks. Because he really is a guy who gets injured all the time. And now we're just going to have to move on from him.
Well, like we see that with Andrew Thomas. You paid him, or we paid him, and look what's happening. The guy can't play.
Yeah.
And we need him in. And I'm
need
not
him
saying
in the worst way.
I'm not saying he'll equate to wins because, frankly, there's other guys. The whole line sucks, right? So even though Andrew Thomas can't block 6 people, so he'll make it better on the blind side, but the offensive line is still bad, right? So he'll help, but you're right. With the AVT thing, it's the opposite of the Andrew Thomas thing. We paid him, and the guy never plays. Right. So yeah, it's.
And I'll go back to my theme with the Jets was that it looked like 2025 football. That looked nothing like. It looked like a totally different sport than what all these other teams are playing. That's the discouraging part for the Giants. Is not that you didn't score a touchdown and you didn't, win that game or didn't come up with a couple of big stops on Washington. It was that game was miles away from what the NFL has looked like for these teams that are actually good. If you watched any other game than that one, you saw at least the ability to move the ball down the field for either team. I mean, there were more punts in that game. It was insane how boring and how unwatchable that product was across the board. And if I'm a Commanders fan, I'm probably even more discouraged because they were in the NFC Championship game last year, and then you barely can beat a Giants team that couldn't put together, 4 plays that were positive pretty much the whole day, and you got to sweat it out at the end with, hopefully Neighbors doesn't make a big catch. They were one Malik Neighbors play away from that game being a lot closer and a lot scarier than what you'd think. So
yeah. It's just my biggest fear is, the guns being pointed in the wrong direction, and I'm guilty of this too. I think we all are, where we want to blame something. Usually it's the coach and usually it's the quarterback or a coordinator if everything else is running smoothly. And again, I'm not sitting here singing Russell Wilson's praises saying he's, 2014 or 2015 Wilson, but I don't know what you can expect from him right now or anybody. Jameis Winston, Dart. Like, it's just, I don't know, like, what do you want the guy to do? And same thing with Dable. Dable's going to take some heat. One of his play call, I don't even know if it was a play call, it just happened to come into fruition. It was, like, I think 3rd and goal on the 2-yard line. He's throwing to an offensive lineman. I don't know if you guys saw that one. What the hell was that? That was just a play breakdown because he's running all over the place. He's like, oh, there's a lineman that's an eligible receiver. I'll throw to him. What can Dable do behind this offensive line? He's a good offensive guy, right? But how can he possibly showcase his game plan when they can't get a playoff? So the whole thing is just completely screwed because there's no protection. And that ruins games. You guys have seen it personally with the Jets. It destroys the team until you finally fix notice the Jets offensive line. How great are they right now? All of a sudden now, your quarterback is playing, well, he played great. Daniel Jones goes to Indianapolis with a great offensive line. He's Peyton Manning all of a sudden, right? Baker Mayfield goes to the Bucs, good offensive line. He's playing great. It starts and ends at the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball. Until that gets fixed, this is what we're going to be watching all year with the Giants.
Here's my question. At what point does the heat come off Dable a little bit and go to Joe Shane, the architect of this?
Well, he's the number one blame because he's the one that didn't build the offensive line properly in 4 years.
But you're the kind of guy that you understand football and all. These fans that are calling into the fan and screaming for Dable's head, and Dable doesn't.
They still think Jerry Reese is
right.
There.
They don't know who the GM is at this point.
Yeah.
It's going to be interesting. You guys go to Dallas, which is not listen. I know Dallas lost Micah Parsons, and they're kind of in their own little whatever's going on, but that's not going to be an easy situation. It's their home opener. It's going to be
That's
tough.
never a tough place. It's never an easy place for the Giants to play
Right.
in that. That Jerry World, other than that opening game where they beat them,
Yeah.
I don't think they've the last 5 or 6 years. I don't think they've won a game at Jerry World at all.
Yeah. So
Well, the Eli and Coughlin era, they had a ton of success
Yes.
against the Cowboys.
Yep.
They really did. Maybe their record is like kind of Giants may have a slight edge, but it could be just dead even. I don't know. But I do know that when they played in Jerry World, I was very comfortable.
Mhm.
Now, when they play the Cowboys, you might as well chalk it up to a loss. But listen, guys, I'll end it on this. It is week 1.
Yeah.
I'm concerned. Don't get me wrong. I don't think the Giants are winning next week, but me personally, because you guys should be excited. I don't want to, what on your parade. You deserve to be excited. But me, I got to kind of take a step back and just say, all right, let's see what happens this week. Right? Let's see if they make an adjustment on the offensive line and maybe something changes where it's halfway decent. That's the thing about football. It could be halfway decent, the line, and the whole game changes. It doesn't have to be elite.
Yeah.
So I'm going to give it one more week before I really get into panic mode, but I'm certainly in concern mode. There's no question.
Well,
So the last time the Giants won in Jerry World is 2016. So we're almost at a decade of them not winning a game in Dallas.
sounds like us with New England.
That was Eli, right? That wasn't Jones. So
or
was it Jones?
2016. I think that was still it was the first season for Romo and Prescott. So it was Dak's first year. So I think that was Eli.
Yeah.
So
I think it was Eli.
Then. So they haven't beat that. Think about that, guys. A division team that you play, you play them once a year in Jerry World, but every year you play them, and they haven't won since Eli Manning, who's
in this decade. The Cowboys are 9-1 against the Giants. The only win was 2020 at home. The Giants won, but the last 4 years it's been a Cowboys sweep, and the games have not been close.
No, that's the problem. It's not like they're fighting. They're getting their ass kicked every game and embarrassed.
But again, we know what it's like to lose to a division rival many times in a row.
That's true.
So
problem is we got 3 elite teams.
Well,
we got 3 to deal with now.
I don't think the Commanders are going to be as good as they were last year.
Yeah, I agree.
I do think it's still
elite,
hard.
1 good.
It's still tough.
Yeah.
So we last week we also started. We each picked 3 NFL games, and we figured we would have a little bit of fun with this at the end of the season. Let's see who could win. Maybe have a what do you call it? A prize for the winner and a punishment for the loser. So we'll see what the punishment could be. We have Mike book an Airbnb, and you have to stay in it for a weekend. That's an inside story that we'll let you know about one day. But last week, I went 2-1. I won on Tampa Bay. I won on the Rams. I lost on Denver. Geoff, you went 0-3.
Shocker.
You lost with New England, lost with Detroit, and lost with Miami. But Mikey Mush just continues. He was 3-0, winning with the Arizona Cardinals, Tampa Bay, and San Francisco. So with that in mind, Mike, why don't you lead us off and let us know who your picks are for this week?
Week 2 in the National Football League.
Where they play for pay.
Yes, for pay. Right, exactly. So I have 3 picks this week. Kind of ride high. My theme for this week is we're going to ride the hot hands a little bit with my 3 picks. I'm going to take Cincinnati minus 3.5 home against the Jaguars. I liked what Cincinnati did against Cleveland. Joe Flacco's there. I don't like this Jaguars team at all. They did okay with, against Carolina. That game was a sloppy whatever. I still think Cincinnati is right this year. They're going to win early like they haven't done in the last couple of years. And really that AFC is wide open. So I love Cincinnati in that game, minus 3.5. Hope we don't get screwed with a late field goal to get it. That half point always scares me, but I'll take Cincinnati over Jacksonville, game number 1. Game 2, I'm going to take the Minnesota Vikings. I love what J.J. McCarthy did Monday night against the Bears to come back in that game. It looked like he woke up and realized that I could actually play quarterback in this league, and I love what he did. The Falcons, they probably should have beat Tampa Bay, but I'll take the missed field goal to and I just think they're not there yet. And Minnesota's going to be at home. They're going to be excited. Home opener. Minnesota's still really good. Don't forget that they were a really good team last year, and they just kind of, Sam Darnold kind of ran out of steam at the end of the year. But that team's still loaded with talent at every single skill position. So give me Minnesota minus 3.5. And then on Monday night, I will take the Tampa Bay Buccaneers plus 2.5 against the Texans. I'm not sure how Houston is favored in this game. I guess it's because they're home. But give me Tampa Bay on the road. I just love the way Baker's been playing. I think they're primed and ready to be, in the mix in the NFC this year. So give me Tampa Bay plus 2.5. So Tampa plus 2.5, Minnesota minus 3.5, and Cincinnati minus 3.5. Mikey Mush's picks for week number 2.
All right, we're going to come back to you, Mikey, because do you have another?
I do.
And we'll talk about that when we come back. I'll give you my 3 picks quick. I think I like the Chargers playing against the Vegas team. Giving 3.5, I'll give the 3.5. Vegas has a tendency to have a big win and then, crap the bed. So I'll take the Chargers. I'm also going to take Tampa Bay, stay with the hot hand, getting 2.5 at Houston. I just don't think Houston's that good. And honestly, I'm going to take the Eagles. It looks, Mike, I think that's the Eagles are giving 1.5.
Minus 1.5 Eagles, correct.
I'll do that because you know what? I think we saw a little bit with Kansas City that maybe they're not going to have that magical year this year. They have a lot of felons and guys like that, either are suspended or aren't playing the way they played last year. Maybe they've got on their mind about how they're going to be in prison soon or things like that. So I think they're going to have a rough year. I know, and Taylor Swift and Kelsey getting married, so everybody's kind of caught up in that. But I'll give the 1.5 from Philly. So I'm going to take Philly giving 1.5, Chargers giving 3.5, Tampa Bay getting 2.5. Now, Geoff, you got to come back, buddy. You got to come back.
And well, listen, me and Mike are in lockstep with the Bengals over the Jags. I'm not going to go into why, because Mike, you literally took the words out of my mouth for the exact reasons you mentioned. And I just love betting with Burrow. I think Burrow is the best in the league talent-wise, period. So the same reasons Mike said, I'm going to go Bengals minus 3.5 over the Jags. I'm going to take the Broncos minus 1.5 over the Colts because I'm pissed off that Daniel Jones played well. No, I'm just kidding. I've just seen so much of Daniel Jones. I've seen these Daniel Jones sequences where he's the guy. No, wait, he sucks. Oh, wait, he's the guy. Nah, he's this up and down. He has never had 2 good weeks in a row. And Bo Nix did not play great last week. I think it's going to be reversed. I think Nix is not going to have 2 bad weeks in a row. And I think Jones is going to have maybe not even a bad week, but I don't think he's going to win 2 games in a row. So give me the Broncos over minus 1.5 over the Colts. And I'm going to go Rams minus 5.5 over the Titans. It's a little risky because they're traveling to Tennessee, but the Titans stink.
Yeah.
I watched a lot of them last week, and I don't think the quarterback is going to be terrible. I think he might be good, but I don't know if you watched any of that game. He had so many drop balls in one sequence. It was unbelievable. It was really maybe 2 drives where the guy they couldn't catch the ball. He's running all over the place too. They just seem like they're a mess. So I think the Rams, even with the travel, they're going to blow the Titans out. So give me the Bengals, the Broncos, and the Rams.
All right. Mike, I want to come back to you because we've got your, I don't want to call them strange picks, but we'll call them the Mikey Mush
strange names.
Off the grid picks. Off the grid picks. So update us what happened last week, and you can give us our pick for this week.
And one thing I will say as well, if it was not Thursday night, I would take Green Bay minus 3. just for what it's worth. That'll probably come to burn me when this comes out and Washington smokes them in that game. But I'm kind of low on Washington after that game against the Giants, and going to Green Bay on a Thursday night is going to be tough. But we'll unofficial fourth pick. But if we go to the Mikey Mush Degenerate pick of the week, last week we had Paris Saint-Germain handball in France. They were minus 8.5. They only won by 4. They did win. They did beat Dunkirk, but they only won by 4. So they did not cover the spread. So we are not a winner there this week. A rarity for Mikey Mush's picks, but we're going to go across the pond again. We're going to go over to the World Series of Darts is happening this weekend. Everybody strap in for that. It's going to be electric. The smell
darts.
in that beer hall, that hall where the darts are getting played with warm English beer and sweaty guys and all kinds of nonsense going on in there. It's going to be an electric atmosphere. So I have 3 picks. Saturday morning, 9 a.m. is when they start. So get up, have your cup of coffee on Saturday morning, turn on the World Series of Darts, and let's ride with Mikey Mush on these picks. So I'm going to take Gerwin Price minus 3.5 games against Daniel Lobby. I'm going to take Luke Littler, who it sounds like an adult film star, but I'm going to take him, Luke Littler, minus 3.5 games as well against Simon Whitlock. And I'm going to take Johnny Clayton minus 3.5 games against Jason Brandon. All 3 of those games are on Saturday. It is it's almost a little over 6-1 on your Cheddar Goldfish if you are going to wager some of them on this. But have some fun, enjoy it. The fall is here. And let's keep the good times rolling here, guys.
Mike, since you're kind of alone this week, maybe what you can do is reach out to one of those 3 dart players and see if they would like to join the podcast next week, win or lose.
Yeah.
They can talk about how they put the spins and things like that on it. All right, so
yeah,
that's your homework assignment for this week. Try to get one of those.
I will see I'll try to get Luke Littler. That's my guy.
We would definitely want Luke on this.
Yeah.
Well, guys.
Yeah, the name got me right there. So.
Well, guys, listen. Hope springs eternal for our teams. Like Geoff, you said it. You're never as good as you look when you win. You're never as bad as you are. As you look, whatever, when you lose. So hopefully both teams will bounce back. Jets maybe with a win. Giants have a good game down there. Offensive line might play. Maybe you'll be surprised that Andrew Thomas will play this week. Right?
Yeah.
That would be great. I did hear Tiki say Tiki predicts he'll be playing in the Sunday night game against Kansas City.
He's unpredictable. Not Tiki.
Yeah.
Andrew Thomas is unpredictable.
You don't know.
But we need him.
But
we need anybody at that position right now.
But we'll see. So listen, everybody, enjoy this episode. We'll be back the next time you hear us. We will be reviewing week 2 and possibly interviewing a dart player. Okay?
Yes.
Everyone have a great rest of the week. If you're playing golf, hit them straight. If you're not playing golf, why aren't you? Take it easy. Have a good week.